What advice would you give to early stage founders approaching fundraising for the very first time? If you could perhaps share three of the most important elements for fostering a really healthy relationship with investors.
I'd say three things. Try and be super straight from the outset. Don't bullshit. It will get found out at some point in the process, or it'll come back to bite you some other time, or it'll make the whole thing a lot more stressful. Just be super straight. You're going to have to go on a journey with these investors through the good and the bad times. Start off from a foundation of transparency, openness, integrity. I think that'll take you a long way. Linked to that is be super clear and try not to fudge disagreements or let things go that are unclear. I'll give you an example. With one of my investors, I thought we had agreed one thing at one stage. They thought we'd agreed something else. Neither of us had written it down. Each of us, because it was a difficult conversation, moved on from it. Yeah, we'll tackle that later on. And actually, then when it came out later, it was quite a massive difference between us when the pressure was really on. And there was no record, no documentation. There was a lot of emotion and passion that was generated, therefore, between I said this, you said that, which was all pretty futile, really. It may not be in your nature. It wasn't in my nature to document and minute and be really rigid and structured in comms, decision making, etc. It's bloody helpful if you can do it, though, as a record to fall back on for both of you. The final thing is life's going to be a hell of a lot easier if you're hitting your numbers. So therefore, be really careful about being too ambitious or inflating your numbers, frankly, to attract or please an investor. An investor's always going to ask you to do an extra 10%, extra 20%, or what can it take, or what would you have to believe? And before you know it, those are enshrined as targets. And then when you miss those targets, you signed up to these targets and you're trying to rein back and say, yeah, but remember all the contextualization we put around it, etc. You've got to be really careful. I've learned that through my career. You sign up to a number, whatever caveats you may put verbally around it, if you sign up to the number, you're going to be held accountable for it. So make sure you really own those numbers.